Hello there, everybody. How's it going today? Glad to see you all. So I'm Noffy here. Nice to see you. Hopefully you all can hear me all right. Hello.
Everything is doomed. We have delayed this stream for an hour 30 minutes. The general chat has collapsed. It is over. But yes, welcome everybody to the US Beat Mapping World Championship. After a lot of delays, a lot of technical issues that we've had to pretty much hustle our ass to fix, swapping between multiple different streamers and different commentators, or not commentators, different PCs and all that. It has been a very fun adventure. You guys don't know the half of it. Nonetheless, we are finally live. We can finally get to the results stream that everyone has been wanting to see. But first, before we do that, we got some ground rules that we should probably lay out first. We are, just for the record, we are streaming this through Discord, through a different PC, through some, it is so scuffed. It is beyond scuffed. If this works out flawlessly, we are going to be legends if this works out flawlessly.
This is the most scuffed setup, so, and no, I can't fix how loud Fiery is, because he's just peeking his mic.
What do you want me to do? You can do it!
So it's good to see you all today. Thankfully, our results are not going anywhere except into the future round. So let's check it out. So, welcome to everybody. So for anybody that's not intimately familiar with the format today, the qualifiers round that we're going to be going over the results for is ranking based. So you're all going to be placed on a list. And if there are multiple teams from one country registered, only the team that ranks the highest will pass the qualifier round. The seeding of the round of 16 matches, which will be the future round, will be decided according to the ranking of each team in this qualifying round here. So we also have some judging criteria for the qualifying round. So you're going to start off with your expertise. That's 45%. It's how well the map reflects the music, with an emphasis on how well it reflects the music, the pattern and rhythm consistency, the coherence, and the playability. Now, the creativity is also 45%. So it's how it stands out compared to the mapping trends, other submissions, and generic maps or copy-paste maps are a little bit discouraged. And creativity built on top of solid expertise is more important as well. And finally, 10% for the judge's impression. Judges can award or deduct points based on specific noteworthy aspects as they deem appropriate, such as outstanding sections and hit sounds, or vice versa. And the judging results will be calculated using standardized scoring. Now, for the judging criteria, clash rounds will consist of tight, timed head-to-head matches between two teams, and the winners will proceed into the next round. And these clash rounds will run on a single elimination bracket, so look forward to those.
through the qualifiers, I would imagine. Probably been delaying enough. I think that should be all the PowerPoint slides, so we should be able to get right onto the results that everyone's kind of been waiting for. I think it's high time we probably show that.
I think we lost Fiery Rage.
Does reducing my mic volume by 20% actually do that? That's nuts.
Hello, welcome back, Fire.
Is this a bit quieter?
Yes.
Okay. That is very cool. What I was saying, in the meantime, was, that is for the, obviously, the stage, so let's get to the qualifier results. No ham-fisting about, let's just get right into it. Everyone's been waiting for this for about almost 2 hours now. Let's just go. Starting things off with the 16th entry. It is China. Team consisting of Astral Cynicism, Superbox, X-Lite, Mario Kart, yeah, Sojuku, and Killer Tech. I probably mispronounced a lot of those names, but... Noffy, if you have anything to say on the regards to what the judges had to say on this.
Yes, 1 second here. So, I just wanted to appreciate the map a little bit first, especially because I gotta balance the volume over here. So this map was ranked pretty highly for being a relatively conceptually simpler but really well-designed map. And there was a lot of ideas that some judges felt could have been executed more on that we're excited to see kind of develop in future rounds. But there is a really strong showing for teamwork in this entry already, where it works together really nicely.
It's a pretty standard map, I would say, at least in terms of what you'd usually see from sort of tech-oriented mappers. This is a lot more toned back with a lot of its concepts. Not to a fault, though. This is a fairly simple map, very fun to play, I'd say. Got a little funny slider there.
And that was the qualifying China team there. Next up, we're going to be checking out our qualifying team from the Philippines coming in here. And that's
the only team.
Nose, Flake, Onegai, Iphenix, Aritachi, and Lake Candy. And if I butchered any names, I'm sorry, please send me a pronunciation guide for next time.
The only team from the Philippines to sign up. They qualified here, mapping the same song. Unfortunately, that's probably going to be a theme that you're going to be seeing throughout. A lot of teams have mapped this song in particular. There are a couple of exceptions, though, and we'll get to those when we get to those. But for now, the Philippine mapping mafia. Mapping. This entry in particular goes kind of wacky with the slider shapes in this part in particular. See a lot of unique flow throughout this rest of this section here.
And this one did have some positive comments from the judges regarding nice kind of finesse and cursor control throughout the map. The second half was a little bit weaker than the first for some people, but this does show a lot of potential in terms of their movement and visuals.
Great slider to end things off. That is the 15th
And that was
qualifying
Team
entry.
Philippines here. Alrighty.
First of the... Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there, but first of the songs that are not actually that tech-oriented song is this one. This entry from Germany, captained by Lulu, consisting of 0PP and Osu, Kojio, Slipher, Inslider, and Bazuso. It's a pretty... There's a lot of slider tech involved in this. Just in general, a lot of... I'm not really sure how to describe it, to be honest.
The way they handled the song definitely looks really intense, I can tell you that much.
In particular, this song has a solo in it, and they kind of knocked it out of the park on that one. They did some pretty cool concepts with that solo.
This map makes a lot of effort to be pretty playful in terms of its slider design and movement, which I think gives a pretty fun interpretation to the song.
This is the solo part that comes in here. That is definitely a slider stream.
And that was the qualifying team from Team Germany, and if I'm still in a bottle, I'm sorry.
She's trying her hardest.
Next up is our qualifying Thailand team with Type 4 Bonrai Chests, Ohm, Ride Rhythm, and Quantum Vortex mapping together.
And once again on Chronos Visionia. This map is pretty straightforward for the first half. The second half is where you're going to be... of course, as soon as I say the first half is pretty straightforward, we have a not straightforward pattern there, but for the most part, it's fairly toned back. Second half is where you get to see a lot more of the wackier concepts.
A lot of the judges really enjoyed some of the harder sections of this map and felt that maybe the slower parts could be toned down a little bit, but the slider design, as well as the patterning and overall structure, were looking really nice.
Around here is where the map really starts to kind of go a bit crazy, as you saw with the 1/8 active burst there.
And starts to shine.
Just calm little 380 BPM clickable there, no worries.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I love me a good donut slider, guys.
Last portion here is pretty reminiscent of what you'd usually see in tournament no mod 4s. Just your fairly standard tech-oriented stuff. A couple wacky patterns here and there, but nothing too crazy.
Fiery's actually manifesting this for whatever playing tournament he's at next.
I'm going to love playing this as a no mod 4, surely. Even though I definitely cannot stream whatever BPM this is, I'm pretty sure this section in particular is like 200. Also that.
And that was our qualifying entry from a Thailand team led by Type 4.
Bit of a unique entry coming up here. Chile's entry into the OS Beat Mapping World Championship. This one is has a pretty big focus on hit sounding in particular. And you can kind of just see that from the offset. The section is entirely key sounded. No hit normals, which was a mark against this map from the judges, but the effort put into the hit sounds is very noticeable in this entry.
I always really enjoy when maps like this kind of remix the song a little bit through their hit sounds. That's always a lot of fun. I think that Sunozuka, Akira, Shodo, Chronozy, and Tsubiaso have done a really strong showing here.
And yes, that is part of the...
Oh my god, it was this
is
map!
part of that.
So not only do they have epic hit sounds, this fits really well, by the way. This was one of the first entries I looked at, because I was like, what are the judges talking about? And then I was like, oh, wait, what? And that was the anime remix of Cronus Visiona.
From Chile. Again, into the next entry. Poland makes their appearance. Once again, different song here.
We're getting some more mix-ups here.
Yeah, the same song as what we saw from the Germany entry. But Poland's take on it this time around. Consisting of Olsen, Mr. Thayer, Cookie 1537, Pajwaj, and Wiwit. Chat is going absolutely bonkers. I'm glad to see the general chat has infected the stream chat now.
That is perfect. Speaking of the song mentioning satisfaction, most of the judges mentioned that there were some very satisfying patterns here. I promise.
Yeah, it just plays nice, I think is the bottom line. A lot of these patterns just flow really nicely together. It's not anything crazy in terms of like tech-oriented patterns outside of a couple standouts here and there, but it just plays nice. That's always good. Solo on this one kind of goes a bit insane with some of the finger control required though. You're seeing it right there, 1/3 into 1/4.
No, you just gotta hit it. You just gotta hit it.
It's honestly not that. It's not as bad as it seems, to be honest. Just fairly solid, simple entry. Oh, we talked over each other again. Unfortunate. It's just a very solid, simple entry. Not really much crazy going on there. Just very fun to play overall.
Nice work, Poland.
Japan up next. This one I kind of think is a bit surprising, being this low. Also, once again, Chronos Visiona, I have bad news for you guys. If you're getting tired of this song, you are not going to be happy for the next couple minutes.
I guess it's just good map bait. And yeah, we got 0047, Koguma X, Lavila, Ring, Victopia, and Ruruchi.
This map in particular has a few instances where the map goes from the bottom of the playfield to the top of the playfield. There's one section in particular which fits pretty nicely with what the song is doing. I'll be pointing that out when that happens. Actually, I think it's coming up pretty shortly. Yes, it is. It is coming up right here. This section also has a pretty unique hold slider mechanic right here. All these end on 1/8 ticks, so they are not standard 1/4 kick sliders, and as such you have to hold them for a bit longer. It gives a pretty unique element while playing.
And this is definitely one of the entries where you can see a lot more of the different mapper personalities in the team coming through. But they still did a really nice job of making like a pretty engaging expert diff. And that was our qualifying entry from Japan. Nice work, y'all. We're going to be going ahead and checking out our top 10 here next.
Starting things off with Spain. I think the only team that actually mapped the intro to this. the intro to the song. This map uses a couple of 1/16 doubles throughout. Emphasize certain notes in the song.
Do you guys like donut holes? Because this map will give you donut holes.
Do not phrase it like that.
That's what they look like! They're little tiny round sliders! Come on! They're really fun to play, though. And that's kind of like an idea that carries through the majority of it, where you just... Honestly, this slider would have worked really well in that one mapping contest where it's like the sliders ends and head touch. The kind of going back on yourself is really, really nicely done here.
Is a repeated concept from the Japan entry that we saw earlier. Spain doing the same thing with the same section, having it represent the intensity of the song through the playfield usage. circle section here. Circle only section.
And that was Spain's qualifying team.
Moving right along, we got number 8 here, Canada. Made by Arxol, Linvier, J1, and BWC. I definitely mispronounced that. I am sorry for butchering your name in advance. This map is it's a lot more chaotic with its structure, and it kind of just shows that immediately out of the get-go right here.
Now, in terms of the movement, it does have a lot of similarities to some of the other maps we've seen so far today, but it does do a lot to develop a very strong visual structure, as well as like kind of leaning into all of the rotations it makes use of. And I'd also like to mention, we had a lot of Canada entries, so great work to you guys for being the best Canadians out there.
I like this part. Clock hand to fit with the clock ticking. That's always nice. There's also the section with the rotating sliders there. Oh no, auto broke! Yeah, this is where you get to see the chaotic visual style really rear its head here. Worth mentioning, the judges put a note on this section in particular for potentially missing a green line on those sliders. I don't think they're meant to be snapped like that.
Which is very unfortunate, but the rest of this was going pretty nicely.
That was intentional, I got confirmation from the mapper. Alright.
That's new then.
Yeah, that does it for Canada. Moving on. Argentina makes its appearance. Mega fan, Maestro Splinter, Links. I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce that. Thank you, Noffy, for clutching. And
You're welcome.
This map has a lot of fun movement concepts and structural concepts thrown around, like what you see right there. Just scattered throughout the map.
And this map definitely pops off in like really strong geometrical kind of base arrangements, which is a huge contrast from some of the just like our last entry we saw too.
So we get into the first hard tech-oriented section. Bit of a diff spike here.
You guys like rectangles? But despite how they look, these all have a very similar kind of movement structure going on, which is... It at least looks fun. What do you think, Fiery?
It looks fun, but it's probably very hard, especially compared to the rest of the map with those jumps right there, as you saw with the 1/4 jump there.
For sure.
It is a bit of a diff spike, but it looks cool. Speaking of looks cool, but probably doesn't play necessarily the greatest, or at least in terms of difficulty spike, way higher in difficulty than I think the rest of the map combined. Getting into the second PI section here.
Oh, this one's so much
Visually,
fun, though.
visually this is pretty impressive, but trying to play this, you're probably not going to have a fun time unless your name is Malashevsky. And even then, I feel like he's probably going to struggle on this.
You can definitely see some elements of how different mappers are borrowing from each other and trying to, like, make one whole map, and it's really interesting how they kind of executed that in this team. And that was Team Argentina. Nice work, y'all.
I think this one's also going to surprise a lot of people. The United States team that qualified is not the one that I think a lot of people probably expected.
And this team was headed by 6P, Bowo, Pandize, Fear, and Weowee. And if I mispronounced anything, I'm so sorry.
Throughout the map, you can see, I think, a lot of, at least to me, in terms of my tournament experience, you can see a lot of Halgo inspiration in a lot of these flow and structures, just how the map plays in general. Very much heavily leans into that sort of style. This is probably where it's the most apparent, honestly, in this section right here.
Where the tech comes in.
Where the tech comes in. Very solidified aesthetic structure here. Generally plays how you'd expect a tech map to play for the most part. Little gear slider there. Sponsored by Gearbox Software, thank you. Funny slider here as well with the wiggles at the very end.
Our sponsor is not actually Gearbox Software, guys.
Second key eye. Bit more toned down in comparison to the first, I'd say, but still see a lot of elements you traditionally see in tech mapping. Funny slider there.
Like the parts that really come out at you, and then they're like, "Hey, do you like having slider misses? Here's a few." But I really do enjoy how they kind of match those to the song here.
That does it for the United States entry into the qualifiers. They proceed into the bracket stage. We get into the last remaining few maps. You guys won't believe what song the next one is.
You'll never guess what Indonesia map. For our
Wow.
top 5 here. With
Remarkable.
Azrael, NBA, Young Boy, Fedora, Ariel, Araran, and Songkak.
Pretty interesting to see this team as high as they are, I think, for a lot of people. But this map is pretty solid throughout the entire map. Not really anything crazy going on here, outside of the fact that this is the only map that I think is CS5 that we've seen. So, a bit of higher circle size here, which gives way for a bit more of a, I guess you could say, aesthetic vibe to a lot of these patterns. There's not as many overlaps. And those that are overlapped are very much intentional.
And pretty much across the board, there were quite a few judges that were impressed by how well this map utilized CS5 and actually, like, incorporated it into the full map design, as well as kind of how it built on its patterns and kind of introduced ideas and kept them going throughout different sections. And also, shout out to the color activating really button.
There's a lot going on this map. It's never really too dull. It doesn't have a concept that feels like it overstays its welcome. It's constantly throwing new stuff at you in it. From a player's perspective, makes this pretty fun to play. I'd say the most standard tech section is going to be the one coming up right here shortly.
One of the team members in chat just mentioned that they finished this just 5 hours before the deadline, so they were really packing in their time to the best of it.
Ah yes, the classic procrastination method.
Well, it works. It worked for them.
Also worth noting, when I was first looking through this map, there's these 5 burst patterns. That one right there, those look so hard to hit. I'm not sure if they actually are, but I feel like everyone that would play on this would break on those at first glance.
Sorry for the slight bumper there, guys, but this is Team Indonesia, our winning of the qualifiers here. And next up, we are going to continue on.
As we get into the top 5 here, Taiwan makes its appearance. Helulu, also known as +4J, Matsuyuki, Ame, Flask, Imakura, 9Ami, and Alti. I think everyone is pretty familiar with the mappers. Not too surprising to see this that high up. This is another map that throws a lot of stuff at you. It keeps you on your toes when you're playing. Fun fact, I actually think this is the only entry that actually has a break that we've seen so far.
First time getting to see the check mark.
Finally, we get to see one skin element.
Now, personally, I felt like this was a really interesting section to go all in on the tech instead of the more digital section. They're like, hey, you know this violin part? What if sharp angles everywhere? And I think they did a pretty nice job of it.
I like these sliders coming up right here.
The distortion is really cool. And that was Taiwan coming in on qualifiers at number 4. Next up, we're going to be checking out the top 3 for the qualifying round here. UK! So
who would have guessed?
The team with 7VI, Devious Panda, Yusomi, Ishtiak, Pseudonominous, and The Cube. Who would have guessed?
Now, I will self-confess, I did not look at this entry. So this is going to be a bit of a live reaction, if I have anything to say on it.
For longer term reactions, make sure to check out the judges' comments in full too later once they're released. They felt that it made a pretty good use of the song to build a map off of, rather than staying pretty strictly in it, as well as having some slider patterns throughout later that stood out as pretty creative, so look forward to those. And here are a couple of them now that are relatively simple but come together nicely. Thank you, Distortion.
It's a cute heart slider. At least I think that was a heart. Yep, this is definitely a tech map. Bit of a diff spike on this, but...
No, the space streams are easy. Don't worry about it. With an angle, that makes it even easier.
Nice little hourglass slider. A lot of hourglass sliders in this section, actually.
Gotta lean into the theme of time and chrono, which is the same thing twice. But...
That's nice. Nice little ending slider there.
And that was our United Kingdom qualifying team.
We're finally getting into the top 2. Unfortunately,
France!
Still the same song. France being top 2, though.
With Blackie Design, Time Vid, Pisapu, Yume Rios, Nozuchi, and Live Eye.
This one uses a lot of unique slider shapes.
I
The theme
personally
throughout
dub
is
them the
a.
halos.
They're more like ellipses, but you can call them halos, I suppose.
Yeah, they're giving
If you
little
wanna-
halos to the rest of the patterns. They're just so cute and angelic and easy to hit.
Okay, I don't know about easy to hit, but
It's like when you post an angel emoji in the chat because they're just so cute.
the Ki in this one has pretty funny hit sounds as well. Hit the song though. The more I listen to it, and it kind of does sound like a fart.
Bruh. Bruh.
I think it fits well though.
Bruh.
Like it works with the pitch of the song at the very least.
That said,
Also,
some
crazy
judges
slider
were
here.
impressed. But see, that was like a god ray coming from a cloud. My halos are justified. But some of the judges were quite impressed by the additional use of the color hacks and hit sounds on top of the strong halo and other concepts going on here. But overall, this is just a really cool map.
That does it for France's entry. Who won? Number 1.
For the qualifiers.
Unfortunately, we aren't going to be listening to the third song. Ha! Got you! South Korea, first place, and they're the only person to actually map this song. Here's the swing song, Torimaru, from Us Taiko World Cup 2023.
And this map has really nice key sounds kind of incorporated and embedded into it too. This is, as you can hear, a really hard song to map, but they approached it with courage here.
There's a lot of cool concepts in this too. The beginning has some stereo hit sounding based on whether or not the I think it's based on the placement of the objects, which is very cool. But yeah, this song, it's not really too surprising to see not many teams approach the song. This song is very chaotic and very hard to map a standard map to. I mean, that is why it was a Taiko custom song. I think they did pretty good with everything they were given, though, here.
And this map really stood out as one kind of just like really, really respecting the music to incorporate all of those chaotic elements into it too, without making it like necessarily like any kind of div spikes. Like it's very unified. Hey, look, the halos are back.
The singular Halo slider. I don't know. I mean, I guess that one counts.
Yeah.
It's not really super
It's
thin,
a
though.
coincidence.
Yeah, you can kind of see why this song is very hard to map just from this section alone. That rhythm is kind of crazy. Square.
TV slider.
as Iljaz mentioned, there's a bit of a bass key sounding hidden in there. It's a bit hard to hear, but it is present. And that's going to do it for the Beat Mapping World Championship. Those are your qualifying top 16 teams from the 16 different countries. Anything else to say, Noffy?
It's going to be really interesting to see how the clash rounds for this go. There will be a challenge page with all of the teams and their matchups and the base, which is based off of the seeding that we saw here today in terms of their placements. So that's going to be cool to kind of see how the round of 16 is going to come out, eventually leading up to the finals, of course, right? So we're going to have some pretty interesting matchups here. So good luck to all of our qualifying teams. Nice work on putting together all of these really cool maps. You gotta keep strong, and we'll see you again soon in terms of the mappers in their submissions.
Thank you guys for tuning in and bearing with us throughout the multiple delays that we had. We very much appreciate your patience. We'll hopefully see you guys without a delay later on in the tournament. Where we won't be waiting almost 2 hours to get through the to get to the actual meat of the you know what I mean.
It'll be even shinier next time. We'll see you again soon.